Hello, lovelies, and welcome to yet another launch party. Woo! So, yeah, hi. I have got another book out. It is The Dauntless Deception, and it is a book number 10. And I can't believe I'm finally to number 10. Yes, I know who you are, Laura. You're the only person I know who loves Mickey Mouse as much as you do. Yes, thank you everyone for coming. We've got a couple of numbers already in the chat, and just, oh my goodness, I don't know how to describe how I feel about this milestone, because to reach book number 10 and to know that I now have 10 books done and that they are just, it is so crazy to me that I'm finally through to book 10. I just finished the last editing and formatting pass on book number 11, which will go live in a couple months. And it's one of those things that wow, I'm actually doing this. I'm actually going to get through all of this. I'm actually going to get through the whole series. And it's like I said, I am like still processing that I am that far in the process of getting the Relic of Time Wars. Actually, like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I can see that by next year I will be finished with this journey that started the summer after my stroke in 2015, where I wrote a fan fiction called War of Prophecies. And sorry, and this book actually puts me up to my millionth word published in the series. I'm up to the millionth word in this book. Hi, Shannon. Hello, how are you? Oh my goodness, it's exciting. It's exciting. Thank you very much. It's crazy. Margaret came in. Congrats, Maggie. I was thinking of you and your day today. I made cookies. I hope you enjoy your cookies. Yes, the millionth word is in this book. In fact, let me pull up the manuscript. Okay, which word was it? I don't remember exactly which word it was, but it was in it was in chapter He Goeth to the Light. I thought, oh, I don't have it up. When I reset the formatting, I changed the color. I don't know which word it was. I had it. Yeah. But yeah, it's okay. I'm so excited. I'm sad though, because TDM, the Dramatic Mirror, was hoping to be here today, and unfortunately, they, like, her deployment got slid in, so she is out on the big blue and not able to join us for this one. So, and hydrate or dihydrate, I am having a really, really good almond milk and yogurt spiced vanilla iced coffee. So good. So good. Yeah, hydrate or dihydrate. Everybody knows that. Yes, and it has been actually a surprisingly good week for me because I got a lot of editing done. I got a lot of things to this book is out. I've got my plans made for like into next year, and it's, you know how when you like go through something and like the imposter syndrome is leaning on you really, really hard, and you're just like, why am I pushing so hard? Why do I do this? And then just like you hit one of those synchronicity weeks where everything just seems to fall into place, and you're like, oh, this is why I do it. I'm in that place right now. I'm having that kind of a thing right now, and it's this is my 35th book, and is my 10th in this series. Well, if you count the prequel series, it's 14, but it's the 10th in the actual Relic of Time War main series. And we're still following the journey of Damien Zhang, who is one of the paleontology grad students we meet in the first book. We're still following the journey of Prince Karstein, trying to figure out, running a kingdom, how to stop his brother. And now his brother has access to this incredibly powerful interdimensional entity. And as you can see from the cover right there, he uses it to harvest populated planets. And we're following Daisy, who we meet for a few minutes in book 1. We meet Daisy for like one scene in book 1, and then we meet her again in Cretaceous Conspiracy. We really, really meet her in Cretaceous Conspiracy. That's like Daisy's big book. Sam, welcome to the stream. And we're following these characters, and the war's beginning has been slowly rolling up. Things have been happening. There have been skirmishes, sort of. But this is really the opening volley of the big war, which is going to take up this book and the next 2 books. And so, yeah, the planet that this goes on and off through is Dauntless 6, which, when the Etherians were resettling Etheria and they were spreading out into a spacefaring race, and they were destroying the ice-making towers that the enemy used to harvest planets, they got to the Dauntless system, and the Dauntless system has 10 planets, and Dauntless 6 and 2 of the moons of Dauntless 8, which are super gas giants with moons around them, were the only 2 planets with life left on them. They were the only 2 planets that had not been harvested down to their core or shattered and harvested. So Dauntless 6 is the last planet left in this system. They gave it to the humans who escaped the Harvest of Terra Earth to settle on this colony. There's a lot of humans and Etherians living together on this colony. And Damien keeps trying to extend his influence onto this colony, and they're like, dude, we don't want you here. We don't want your dark magic here. We don't want your politics here. We don't want your money here. We don't want you. Go away. And there's a lot of things going on in Dauntless 6. There's a lot of things that are hidden that different characters are hiding from each other in this. And so the Dauntless deception is the reality, but it's the reality on several different levels for many of the characters. And it's not all the same deceptions. There's multiple deceptions going on. So, Dauntless 6. And fun fact, Dauntless 6 rotates backwards. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Also, the north and south polar magnetics are reversed. So it's had a pole reversal. So the south pole is the north and the north pole is the south magnetically. And the planet rotates backwards. So that was a lot of fun to build a world that did that. Also, a world that only has Vivion's palms, like palm fronds and ferns. Those are the primary vegetation of the planet. And most of the animals on Dauntless are some kind of like anemone or mollusk, or even on land, or like worms that are closer to snakes than worms, but they're not really snakes. So yeah, all the world building. I love doing that. Okay, let's get into our numbers. Well, wait. First, let me read you. Let me go back up to the top, and I will read you the blurb for the Dauntless Deception. And I have dedicated this to Sam, Jenna, and Mara for being so encouraging. So it starts with, of course, every book starts with the line of a prophecy. When the noblest one falls asleep, he shall pick up a sword of light. The dark ones shall become vessels of shadows. Lord Odini V. The Oracle Dr. Daisy Kane, High Lady Adamos, or High Lady of Adamos, and her husband, the Guardian Lord Kaleth, know Damien will not rest until he wins or is forever destroyed with his dark master, the Lord of Shadows. Huntsman Lord Urieth doesn't have the time he needs to train his novices unless he accepts Kaleth and Daisy's crazy plan for a dauntless training base in the distant past. Daisy's oldest friend Darcy Weber is playing both sides, but she isn't the only one. So she knows she needs to stay one step ahead of Damien and his queen. The enemies of the light aren't the only ones keeping secrets and deceiving those they love. The one thing history has taught them all is sacrifices must be made. Damien and the Shadows will always play the game their way, regardless of what the ancient oracles foretold or the cost to the living. So Daisy and David are determined to find a way to tip the odds in their favor.
Maggie.
All right, so now we need page 11 is the first one. And scrolling down. Yeah, snakes. These are snakes. Yeah, well, technically, they're not reptiles. So they're not snakes. They're more like wormy snakes when they go. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. No, my husband just came in with the phone, with an image on his phone. the neighbor's dog, it appears that it has shattered its tooth and that its jaw has just swelled up, and they sent a picture. What do we do? And I was like, yeah, it's going to have that tooth pulled. So yeah, where was I? So we're laughing about the schnicks. Let's see. Always a good plan. Easing into workouts makes the time. Yep. Schnorms. Are they schnorms? Works. Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So where was I? Oh, yeah. Reading page 11. Page 11. I'm reading on page 11. All right. Darcy walked up to him. Yuri, it isn't safe for anyone here. Damien controls this whole planet through his shills. They don't care if he is the one who destroyed Terror-Earth, or that he will do the same to this world. They just don't want the Etherians looking over their shoulders. She laid the blade aside and put her palms on his chest. The colonists of Gaia are mostly those who fled during the harvest. They didn't want to leave Terror-Earth. Then they didn't have a choice. And now they want to pretend they are still there and still in control, even though they aren't. You could move to Jura and live with me there, Yuri offered as he rested his hands on her shoulders. What? Darcy's shock was real as she stared up at him with wide eyes. Darcy, I know I am from another era, but I live in this time now, and this is how your people do things. I feel a connection to you, and I do not want to risk Damien coming after you here. Yuri revealed his concern as he squeezed his hand slightly. You mean too much to us. To me and to Daisy. Daisy? What about Daisy? She'll drive us crazy. She already suspects we're dating. Darcy interrupted. If I move to Jura, she'll start planning our wedding. Don't worry about Daisy. She doesn't need to know everything about everyone. Then he admitted his need. Please, Darcy, leave Gaia and come to Jura before Damien finds you again. I need you to be safe. Darcy decided to tell Yuri part of the truth. She pushed away from him and walked to the wall opposite the window. She leaned on it, looking down at his shadow. You know he already did. He sent word to me through his overseer. He wants me to kill the doorman at his club for violating his rules against his followers using orb. Orb is a magically addicted drug. It's like, imagine fentanyl, but magic. He just hasn't decided when. Darcy clutched her hands in tight fist, pressed together against the wall behind her. Damien will never let me go. I'm his pet assassin. Somehow he knows we are seeing each other and wants me to spy on the Etherian royal family through you. He thinks you're weak. What do I do if he wants me to hurt you? And what do you want? Yuri asked, letting his huntsman's empathy read her so he knew she wasn't lying. I want Daisy to figure out how to kill him forever so we can all have our lives back. I've always believed she's the only one who can, Darcy answered coldly. More than anything, I want Damien dead so we can all be free. Stepping closer, Yuri turned her face up toward his. Then we want the same thing. She blinked slowly. Then she asked, help me help Daisy, Yuri. Help me spy on Lord Damien Nemad so Daisy can destroy him. He wants me to be his assassin again. I will. But may I ask you something? This doorman, does he deserve death? Yuri demanded. He's a drug addict, a pornographer, and identity thief, Darcy scowled. He should have been left on Terror-Earth to die. Yuri smirked at her attitude toward her victim. My precious Garnet, You hunted down and removed many criminal, feral, or evil humans in the past to protect those you were trying to help. You are not a murderer. You are a huntress, like I am a huntsman. Darcy snorted. When we hunt people, Yuri, that makes us assassins. Perhaps, but some people are less worthy of life than others. Darcy tipped her head with an expression somewhere between a scowl and a smirk. You sound like a vigilante. So Moira so annoyingly and often reminds me, it requires one to comprehend one. Darcy smirked fully and said, close enough. Then she kissed him. I love Yuri and Darcy in this. They just keep going back and forth through they are back and forth on this. They are hot and cold on this. They are two sides of the same coin, both weapons of death. And it's just they can't decide if they love each other or if they want to kill each other, but they don't trust each other. Okay. Page 66. All right. I'm going to scroll down to page 66. All right, here we go. Oh, this is when they're running the first test on the Oracle and flame cannon. Yeah, things go wrong. Moira's voice was smooth over the comm. Cars, Daisy, we're ready to light them up when you are. Lara's voice added, all reflectors and amplifiers online. Targeting coordinates confirmed. Ready to charge. Moira, Lara, make sure we have full resonance with each pulse. Cars, it's time. Daisy sounded cold, emotionless. It always worried him when her voice got like that. What is it, Daisy? Cars asked without hesitation. Just the math. Give it all you've got, she answered. He focused the power of the flame of Etheria down the mirrored corridor in front of him. The energy bounced back and forth, self-amplifying as it moved toward the end. He trembled with effort. In the corner of his mind, he could feel Daisy doing the same with the Oracle light. Convergence beginning in 3, 2, 1. Shads had not spoken until this moment. He was concentrating so hard on the math and the magic. His deep monotone was an anchor in the raging inferno of the flame, and Carr's attempt to regulate its self-amplification and blending of the magics. Carr's closed his eyes against the brilliance of the Oracle light as it wove into the magical fire, knowing the same thing was happening in front of Daisy. When they blended their magic to make the luminous swords, it had not been this bright. Carr's caliber sword was a mistake that led to the dangerous pursuit of finding a way to blend and store magic. But he knew if anyone could figure it out, it was Daisy. How much more? Carr wheezed out. It felt as if his soul was being pulled like taffy. Moira's voice seemed far away. We're at 7%, Carrs. Keep pushing. We have to stop, Prince Carrs, Lady Daisy. Shads' voice was disappointed. The convergence is failing. Do we have enough for one shot? Daisy's voice sounded as if she were fighting to get the words out past clenched teeth. My lady, I do not think. Shads started to caution. Just do it. We can drop one tower and the team can take out the other one, Daisy snapped. Moira responded. Lord Brythe, the device is primed with one shot. Aubrey's voice was calm and steady. Firing when ready. Landing teams standing by. The flame and light swirled in front of them, then suddenly shot away. Cars collapsed to his knees in exhaustion. A moment later, he felt the blast strike, then wrongness. Invisible needles were prickling his skin like the second before a lightning strike. Clenching his fist against the pain, he tried to withdraw his magic. He could hear Daisy shouting in his mind to Shads to shield them, and Moira's voice yelling at the techs to drop the blast shutters as he was blacking out. Suddenly, Aubrey's voice sounded in his mind. Karstian, brace yourself. The magic is rebounding. I'm trying to pull back the flame, Uncle. The tower? Kars fought for his consciousness. Is destroyed. You need to focus. It's coming. Daisy is trying to deflect it. Her baby. Tell Shads to protect my brother. The energy surged through Kars as he prayed they survived. Then he screamed in agony. Hold on, Kars. Daisy shouted his name in her mind. He felt the power turn away from the ship and destroy a small moon. Far away on Etheria, Kars heard Allura cry out his name in alarms before everything was gone. Kars groaned, squeezing his eyes against the light. Gentle fingers brushed through his hair. His head was resting on something soft. He squinted, turning it slightly. Oddly, a bassinet with a sleeping child lay beside them. He's fine. Kars blinked up at Daisy's concerned face. She looked so pale as she revealed, it didn't work. He sat up painfully. Where are we? The Room of Light. I brought both of us here so we wouldn't be killed. It was the only way to shield our souls while Shads shielded our bodies. I'm so sorry, Kars. I don't know what happened, Daisy apologized. I must have screwed up the math. Kars nodded, trying to think of the moment before he collapsed. Not completely. Uncle Abrai said one of the towers was destroyed, but that the magic was rebounding. She nodded. The blended beam interacted with the dark energy and drew the shockwave back. I managed to divert most of it. I think it destroyed an orbiting asteroid when it created a shockwave. Shockwave? Oh, I understand. When magic forcefully returns to its caster, especially after interacting with another magic, it tends to amplify chaotically. I guess the energy wave would seem like a shockwave to a physicist. Kars smiled at her, but she continued to scowl. If we can't power the Oracle and Flame device, what do? We don't have a way to defend against the harvest or destroy the dust dimension. You'll figure it out, Daisy. Maybe there's some magical way to boost us Shads doesn't know, or the amplifying tech Moira and David and Vol are working on? No, Kars, that isn't it. You and I alone aren't strong enough. While you were sleeping, I ran the numbers again. All the energy of all the living royal Etherians with magic isn't enough. And it isn't like we can create more magic. We can't just build up more power like strength and stamina training. I have to get the magic batteries figured out. If I do, we'll never lack for juice. Tapping the wall, Daisy drew on it with her fingertip, creating new symbols in light on the etched marble. She was driven. She was just as driven as when he first met her. Something Ezra once said came back to him. Daisy doesn't need coffee. If we could store her energy, the lab would never run out of power. He reassured her, You'll figure it out. And then Damien will have no idea what hit him. Daisy giggled malevolently. I can imagine the look on his face when one of our ships or colonies uses our magic to defend themselves while we're halfway across the galaxy. If he can spread the darkness and leave his creatures like landmines, we can spread the light. I know you'll figure it out. Kars put all his faith in her skills into his words. She could do it. She was the only one who could do it. If she didn't, all would be lost. Daisy tipped her head at him, then pressed her lips together before asking, Why did you tell Abri you were pulling back the flame? That's how magic is supposed to be used. The caster sends it out, then draws it back to end the use. Daisy stared at him wide-eyed. Oh my God, you don't know how to use magic properly. What? I've been using magic for, she interrupted. Would you pull back a grenade after you pulled the pin and threw it? No, but magic isn't the same as, it's just energy, Kars. You need to learn how to cut it off like a switch and let it keep moving away from you. I can't believe you don't know how to use magic. That was the first thing Shads taught me. She looked at him aghast. Kars could hear her thoughts. Oh my God, if he can't release his connection to his magic to wield it as a weapon, the device against the Triple D will kill us both if we fire it at full strength. Dun, dun, dun. So, yeah, there's that. Yeah, they unfortunately figured out Daisy's trying to figure out how to blend their magics to make this weapon, and they're not strong enough, and she's got to figure things out, and Kars has been using magic for thousands of years, but evidently he doesn't know how to use magic. Hello, sweetheart. Hi, Andy. Thank you. Yeah, it is high stakes. It is high stakes because if they don't figure out how to either seal or destroy the dark dust dimension, which is basically a micro dimension, pocket dimension prison for this thing called the devouring entity, or just the devourer, it's going to escape, and it's basically going to consume everything, because that's what it does. It literally, it is the manifestation of hunger. It consumes energy, it consumes life glow, it consumes living biomass, and yeah, so funny that he doesn't know how to use it. Well, he was taught one way to use it. Everybody was taught the same way to use it. And when Daisy was changed into an Etherean and began learning how to use her magic, High Lord Adamos appeared from the light. He's one of the ancient oracles, and forbade them from teaching Daisy how to use magic. They're allowed to tell her theory and stuff, but they're not allowed to actually teach her how to use it. And Shads, who is the last mage of Odini, he actually learned all of the mechanics of using magic before he actually had the ability, because Ethereans don't start manifesting their magic until the end of their first century, beginning of their second century of life. So he learned all of the theory of magic before he ever had the ability to use it. So, they're learned that you push it out and then you pull it back to stop it. Well, Daisy and Shads use it differently. They push it out and then they just cut it off. So it's like exhale. You breathe it out and then you just let it keep going. So, yeah. And the danger of the devouring entity, there is actually a scene later in this book where a Daisy from 150 years in the future comes back to warn them about something. And she is like, the devourer has escaped its pocket dimension prison. It is clawing at the fabric of reality so that the different realms now overlap. You don't need portals or realm gates to go between these different dimensions that are in each timeline, because the devourer is literally consuming all of it. And it is about to escape, like consume their entire reality to have the energy to escape into the multiverse. And they're going to have to trap it again. They're going to make a time trap. And Future Daisy has created a net created out of time. And she's basically going to collapse their reality into a quantum singularity. So yeah, it's the thing with the Devourer is they have got to harvesting worlds and just like tearing it'll basically, it's got two ways that it harvests. Is it drops a dark tower, which creates this toxic ice that you learn about in Ancient Ice Apocalypse, that covers the world. And it's because the ice is laced with iridium, it works to focus time energy into the planet itself, and it basically ages the world to death, so that the world will just tear itself apart. It's like an old piece of styrofoam that's been out in the sunlight too long, and if you close your hand on it, it just turns into powder. That's basically how they harvest worlds. And the other way they harvest worlds is, like you can see in the image, that kind of a purple lightning wrapped vortex. If they're just going to take off the outside, they peel the planet like a piece of fruit. And they basically take off the top 30 to 100 meters. And they just scrape the top of the planet. They just scrape the planet. Yeah, they peel it. And it uses these vortexes to basically just claw at a planet. So it used to be the Devourer was on its planet and content with just harvesting different areas of its planet to feed itself after it was first imprisoned. Then it harvested its whole planet and 2 or 3 other planets with it. And then it discovered it can move in its little pocket dimension. It can move. And so now it just pops out like a trapdoor spider over these worlds that it has opened a gate over, harvesting gate over. And it just pops out like a trapdoor spider and yeah. So there is so many stakes. This is the beginning of the really, really high stakes. You don't know who's an ally, who's an enemy. Allies and enemies overlap. They're the same. There's the stress of trying to create the technology because the war's coming. They know the war is coming, and it's just there's not enough of us to fight the war. There's only a few thousand Etherians and about 250,000 humans left. That's all that's left. And so the stakes in this book are really, really high. And I think that this is the next 2 books after this one is every book, the stakes just get higher and higher and higher. And it's why I'm glad that I wrote the whole series before I started publishing it. I mean, I was publishing it piecemeal when I was doing the drafts on Inkitt and Wattpad, which has the drafts for free. But the rewritten whole storyline is basically double the word count of the original drafts, because I had to go. Well, that is what happens. Yeah. Yep. As the stakes have to grow and grow and grow, and literally it expands from harvesting one planet at a time to harvesting Damien begins to figure out how to use the tech. He's stealing Daisy's technology and twisting it into his own thing so that he's trying to equal the sides. And what the humans and the Ethereans are creating in technology to fight with, magic infused technology to fight with, he is making up for with necromancy and dark magic and the shadows. And like there's like I said, there's a few thousand Ethereans, there's like 270,000 humans. But the thing is Damien, when he harvested Terra Earth, he killed 8 billion people in a day, harvested them for biomass and for their life glow. And he saved 1 million bodies to turn into necroyers, which are the necromanced zombies that he uses as soldiers. So they're in a place where literally he's building an army where there's 4 zombie killing machines for every living being. So yeah, it's going to be the next few books are going to be just fun. There's some funny moments in it. I include funny moments in all of my books. There's a scene in this one where they're camping and Yuri's cat is jumping out of a tree into a pond, catching fish and splashing Kaleth, Yuri's brother, as he jumps out of the tree to catch the fish. And they're like, he's much more fun to watch fish than you are. And so, yeah, there's funny moments in it. There's some heart-touching moments in it. There's some really sad moments in it. There's grief in it because it's war. There are people who will die. And fortunately, with the harvest of Terra Earth, the Ethereans and the humans have decided that we're not going to lose anyone else. And so whenever this thing appears in the sky, the harvest expands at 4 times the rotational rate of the planet. So like when it was harvesting Terra Earth, which is the Earth equivalent, from the time the harvest started to the time it finished, it was like 6 hours. So you can imagine how panicked and fast of an exodus you would have to do from a colony world that was being harvested. And that's Dauntless's future. Damien is coming for Dauntless. He plans on coming for Meridian and Jura and Etheria and Olympia and Titan and all of the colony worlds. He plans on coming for all of them. And he's like in like a book, he's like looking for the Ark world because he knows that Daisy and David have created an Ark world, which is like the seed repository in Norway, only it's like on a planetary scale, and they have like the biomes of like 12 planets stored. And he like goes to all these other systems like Minerva, which is a system that they saved, just looking, because he's the shadows have filled his head with all of these ideas that he is their conqueror, and he doesn't realize that he's just their pet. He is their puppet prince to interact with the living beings until they can figure out how to break the Devourer's prison. So that's the big race. And in this one, we have the opening volley of the war. I mean, the wars, like I said at the beginning, there have been little skirmishes, but this is where the war really starts. And the people, the secrets that are kept, the deceptions that are woven come from some very unexpected places. One of the characters there's a couple of them that know they're going to die. They know they're going to die in the war, and they just don't know when. And keeping the law of oracles says, if it's been revealed to you that your time of death is coming, you're not allowed to tell anyone that you're going to die because it violates the law of oracles. And that is a secret that when you find out, if you find out someone you love has kept that secret from you, and even lied to you about we're going to have this future together, you know it's going to break. It's going to break that character's soul. It would break anyone's soul to find out that the life and the future and the hope that they had planned was that the person who was supposed to share this with you knew it was never going to happen. So that, like I said, the Dauntless deception. There's the time travel training thing, like when they're jumping into the past, into the distant past for a decade at a time to train. That idea actually came from an Anne McCaffrey book, Dragonflight. They were trying to figure out how to train dragon riders because they'd had a long pass and they had just like one weir left. And so they were sending people into the past to train. Well, in this world, you cannot be twice. If you're twice, you die of temporal toxicosis. So they sent them like 1,000 years into the past for a decade at a time, because the Etherians live for thousands of years. Being gone a decade is the equivalent of humans being gone for a year. So they were sending them, and you have to be gone that long, or if you're not, you have to be gone a decade or more, or you have to be gone the same length of time in both places. If you are gone for a decade, you can tweak the time that you left, so you're only gone 1 day per year that you're gone, but you have to be gone this interval of time. If you're not, then you have to be gone the same length of time in both places. So if you go into the past for a month and you come back forward, you've been gone for a month in the present. So yeah, the rules of time travel and the dangers of time travel really is one of the things that comes to play in this. All right, that is all I have, unless somebody wants another page. That's all I have for the launch stream for today. See, I'm looking at my notes to see if I talked about what I want to talk about, and I did. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, okay. This has been such a journey for me that it blows my mind that Brain Damaged Mama can write and people want to read it. It's like, you know, I actually broke my pre-sale record, and I had 20 pre-sales for this. And that it makes me so happy that, you know, like I said, there's been this thing going on, and I just, you know, the imp gets to all of us, and I just pushing forward, just trying to, you know, OCD Gold Brain dragging me forward has got me through the last year and a half, almost 2 years of just constant chronic migraines. I finally have a medication that's working. I can finally get back to writing. I did get back to writing with the Bog Hag anthology. If you have not seen this, it is AuthorTube presents, where is it? AuthorTube presents Bog Hag. Let me share the link really quick. I wrote in this, several people in the chat wrote in this. For the Bog Hag anthology, we had so many fun stories. Sam wrote a story, Shannon wrote a story, Kay wrote a story, Rita, I have a story in it. So yeah, the Bog Hag anthology is live, and it, like, the money goes to Quill Cottage Rescue, which is an a small mammal rescue group, a 501c charity in Ohio, which we so support animal rescues. Oh, thank you, Sam. It was a lot of fun. I wrote Boghag Witch dates sparkly speed dating sparkly vampire. Yeah. So hello, Rachel. Thank you. This hitting book 10 just the feeling, I can't describe the feeling. I cannot describe how amazing it feels to have reached this milestone for this series. And like I said, the 4 books for the prequel series. These make it brings the total of the series up to 14. There's going to be, and then I've got 4 more. I've got Light of Jura, I've got Darkness of the Devourer, I've got the Shadow Hunt, and I've got the completion to the Huntsman series and the Relic of Time War series is the Huntsman's Hope, which these are the prequel ones. The Huntsman's Hope is the postquel one that happens afterwards. And then there is a possibility for 2 more books, which actually is a time jump back to the first war before the kingdoms split, which is like a 50,000 year jump. It is the literal limit of the Relic of Time to make a jump back. And that one, it basically starts with at one of the House of Adamos is at a they're on one of the furthest planet. It's a planet that is closest to the galactic center from the Etherian kingdom, and something goes wrong. The shadows have changed time, and the ripples are coming forward, and their only way to escape is literally to like everyone crowd around the relic and go back past the Cataclysm War, and they're just, and the shock waves of time changing, and it throws them back 50,000 years. And basically that's before the devouring entity was imprisoned. So I haven't written that yet. I have lots of notes drafted. I've got 50,000 words in a world building document that I can use for this, but it's, yeah. I don't know. Thank you. Are you planning to line these up on a release schedule similar so quick? Yeah. Tackle time. I don't think I could ever tackle time travel. It's such a challenge. I have timelines that are, I have the primary timeline that has all the books in different colors, all the events. And then I have secondary timelines for different characters that are time jumping, because you have to make sure, like when you're doing time travel, you have to make sure that people are in places at the same time, that they're not overlapping or interacting, or if they are, that the people moving only in one direction in time are not really aware of the people that are traveling backwards in time. So time travel is complicated to write. It is not something I would recommend for someone who is a pantser. I'm a plancer and I'm barely doing it. So yeah, time travel. So much of a headache. And the other thing with time travel is you'll have the scene going one way for one group of characters and the scene going in another way for the characters that are jumping back, and the perceptions of these scenes. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. This exact event is happening exactly the same for two different point of views. But this point of view and this point of view can be as diametrically opposed as chili powder and vanilla frosting. Drive safe. Hope you have a good afternoon. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes. OCD Goldbrain. OCD Goldbrain does that for me. All right. Thank you so much for joining me, for joining my live stream today for the launch of the Dauntless Deception. I appreciate everyone who's here, and I can't thank you enough for all of the amazing support that I have gotten through AuthorTube and through our lovely writing community. Thank you so much, everyone. Be blessed. Have a very lovely upcoming weekend, and we'll see you on the other side. Breaking the Block is on Sunday.